Good morning, early game crew. Rise and shine. We got us a great Friday show planned for you. It's Friday the 13th, but it's not going to be too spooky on this program. It's Valentine's Day tomorrow.
It is Friday the 13th. Did not realize that.
It is.
Okay.
It is. Right. How stitious are you? Are you superstitious, or are you maybe just a little stitious?
Little stitious.
Little stitious?
Listen, I'm not going out of my way to do something, but also, if you tell me not to do something, I won't do it.
See, you tell me not to do something, I think about it, all right? I think we know what type of characters we'd be in scary movies. I've got a little too much curiosity in me.
Uh-huh.
Where if you tell me, like, oh, Elijah, in this house right here, 3 people died, and I'd be like, you know what? Do I want to walk through that house? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, see, I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Appreciate that.
Deuces. I'd be like, to me, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that is terrifying. But I think I kind of want to walk through there just for the ambiance. And then I'm out.
If you make it out.
If I make it out.
Good story if you make it out.
And that's the thing, is I'm way too overconfident in my ability to make it out or to be able to hatch an escape plan. But we have a fun show playing today. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. He's Captain David Dare. For the second day in a row, Captain David Dare is ITH. It's in the house, if you will. And tomorrow, obviously, there is no love lost between South Carolina and LSU. We've been looking at that throughout the day. At 8:30, my pal Jared Parker from Watch Fox is going to join us on the phone to break this game down. He's been covering this team all year long. Him and Matt Dowell do a really good job of covering not just South Carolina, but the sport of women's basketball on Watch Fox, too. Matt being an AP poll voter. I don't know if you saw last night what Vanderbilt did to Texas.
I did not.
They
beat them down?
Oh, yeah, with hammers.
Ooh.
It ended up being a 16-point game, but they were up 20+. And Michaela Blake's drops 34.
Okay.
And Vic Schaefer broke into the "we have no heart" thing. I want to see if I can find the audio, because you see here on TV, he's pretty animated during the post-game presser.
I kind of like Vic, man. I like Vic.
See, I like Vic when he's not whiny Vic, but he's mad Vic, because he's got a lot of those like older dude sayings or whatever. Like you could tell that's somebody's grandfather. You know,
softer than wet tissue or something. Like he has things. He has them banked in his mind.
A penny saved is a penny earned, and we didn't save any pennies tonight.
There you go.
You know, like there's a lot of those in Vic Schaefer. But what that does, though, this makes things really interesting. It's that Vanderbilt now 10-2. In SEC play. South Carolina's got 1 loss in SEC play. I thought Texas would be the one team that, if you were to lose this game against LSU, that you would have to worry about when it came to tying you in SEC regular season standings. But you would have the tiebreaker over them, so you just have to not lose another game. Well, now you have a 2-game advantage over Texas, a 1-game advantage over Vanderbilt, but the tiebreaker over Vanderbilt. Really, you win this game tomorrow night, not only are you still in sole possession of first place in the SEC, you can cartwheel your way into getting that trophy in the last week of the regular season.
And that's why this matchup is so compelling, because it's not simply just about the stakes. Yes, that is a part of it, but it's everything else that's involved in it that makes this such a tremendous matchup, because you said that win does affect the standings, obviously, but you can go ahead and essentially, not mathematically, obviously, but you can give yourself a huge advantage towards the ultimate goal of SEC regular season champions, which, and as an aside, that's the one, right? The tournament's awesome.
Tournament's awesome.
But that's the one.
To me, that's the hardest one to win,
right,
is the regular season. Especially back in the day, too, when you did have a true round robin. In the SEC for a while, didn't maybe have a true, well, they did have a true round robin, but it was different because you would play every team in your division twice and every team in the other division once, and you alternated years in which you played them home and away. That was, to me, when it was at its hardest. Now, you still play everybody at least once in
because
your
of
SEC
expansion
schedule. You don't play a lot of people twice.
Gotcha.
And I know the Big 12 in both men's and women's basketball, up until the recent expansion, played everybody in their conference twice. That was the sweet spot. You get to play everybody in your league twice. You've got a true regular season champion, and that's the hardest one to win. Now there's like some real variance in conference schedules, and it allows you to maybe have one team who just gets to dodge a lot of the best competition in the league, and maybe the games they have that they play twice in a year is not as hard. Like last year, South Carolina had Texas twice. That's tough. This year they have Alabama twice. Alabama ranked, and they're good? Yes, sure. But it's not playing Texas twice, right? Now playing Texas twice is having them once in the SEC regular season and once in Las Vegas in a tournament in which they should have rules. You don't play teams in your league.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest pet peeve of mine is when that happens. There are plenty of teams you could have invited to that thing. Have one of the SEC teams come the next year. It's not that difficult. But in this game right here, I wanted to break it down a little bit further as to what needs to happen for them to be able to win this game. If you look at how good LSU is, if somebody wants to ask, is LSU for real? At the beginning of the season, they were absolutely beating the hell out of everybody, scoring over 100 points, I think in like their first 5 or 6 games. But they didn't really play anybody. They had one of the worst non-conference strength of schedules in college basketball. It was pretty gross. And if you go to Warren Nolan, which is the website that has a lot of like the nitty-gritty stuff, LSU's non-conference strength of schedule was 281st. They're the only team in the net top 10 outside of 144.
That seems to be their MO. They seem to schedule pretty lightly. As I texted you, I find myself sometimes in the deep waters of women's basketball Twitter, and let me tell you.
Oh, they're reminded. People are reminded, especially in November, December, how soft that schedule is.
They go hard in women's basketball Twitter. So that is one of the things that a lot of the folks accuse LSU of padding their schedule, getting, kind of being, what do you call them, non-conference merchants,
yes.
Like non-con merchants. So they definitely do those types of things. And that is something that early in the season, when they lost 2 in a row, people were like, see? There you go. That's why you should challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But they've gotten back on track, or they've gotten on track, and so I don't know. There's different philosophies of how that works. But Elijah, I have a simple question I think I want to ask you. If both teams play their A game, who wins?
South Carolina.
Okay.
And South Carolina by 10, I would say.
Wow.
Both teams play their A game.
So here's my follow-up question. Any good teacher gotta has a follow-up question because you answered that one too quickly. So my follow-up question is, what game, if both teams play their A game, South Carolina wins by 10, in your opinion? What level would South Carolina need to drop to in order for this to be an LSU win? Would it be a B? Would it be a C+? Would it be a D?
I think it depends.
And what does that look like?
Yeah, it depends on what the B game looks like. You can probably lose on your B game.
Okay.
But it would have to look something like you're not controlling the pace of the game because LSU is top 10 in the country in pace of play. South Carolina can play fast. That's no problem. Like playing offensively with them is no problem. But if you want to see LSU have a really good shooting night and play where they're comfortable, let it be a free-flowing game. I'm not saying drag this thing to the deep end and make it a 60-possession game. No, because you don't have to do that to win this thing. But if you allow them to get in transition, you're not getting back very well. Say you try to play some big lineups and it backfires because you maybe lose something in transition speed, then you're probably going to give up a few points here or there that might be costly at the end of the game. Or let's just say you play kind of like you did against Texas A&M. where Joyce is getting her points, but you're turning it over a little bit, and if you have live ball turnovers against this team, they will turn it into points. Texas A&M won't turn live ball turnovers into points. They don't turn much into points. And there are a few teams in this league that don't turn much into points, right? Your Arkansas, your A&Ms, your Auburns, they're not turning a lot into points, whether it's live ball turnovers or half-court offense. They're just not doing that. LSU will, right? Those turnovers and those points off turnovers will grow if you're too careless with the basketball. And that's the one thing I would caution if I am Dawn Staley to her team is if you turn the ball over 19 times in this game, you will more than likely surrender at least 28 points off of those turnovers. That's a difference in between winning and losing. If you leave about 20 points off the scoreboard because you missed 10 shots near the basket, LSU won't do that, right? They've got a lot of players that, even though they're maybe not at the same size as they've been in years past. Like there's no Angel Reese on this team, even though they're different in how their size is. They'll convert at the basket. Like Michaela Williams,
right,
makes 83% of her shots at the basket.
Mm-hmm.
She'll make you pay on any of those. Now, does she like to shoot jumpers a whole lot more? Yes, that's kind of her whole thing. Flage doesn't miss a lot of shots at the basket. Malaysia's making almost 60% of her shots at the basket. If you have a game where you're 50% on shots within 5 feet of the basket and you got like 30 of those shots or even 20, that's a way you can lose this game and still do a lot of other things really well.
So this goes to the idea. We talked about it yesterday. I think I want to bring back the point that this is not just another game.
No.
It's a huge game. Huge stakes, huge crowd. A lot of emotions will be flying. And I think that plays into a couple of things that I'm thinking about. One, you said the turnovers. Joyce is going to have to limit that.
Yes.
Right? That's going to be very important. Probably, I think more important than her getting her scoring output is going to be her limiting her turnovers. Because I think other people can score. I do think that. But my bigger point here, Tanaya, we're not playing in an empty gym in Tallahassee anymore.
Nope.
This is not Wake Forest where there's 200 people in the stands and you're dropping buckets, you're dropping 30 on Wake Forest. That was awesome. But this is why you came here.
This stage is why you come here.
This is why you are here. And she has to... I'm not even going to say like excel or do something extraordinary, but she has to be, the reason why she came is for games like this. And so I'm really looking forward to her being able to play in this game. And as I stated, she's been getting buckets, but in obscurity. I mean, she's been
at
great.
Florida State,
at Florida State,
you are
it's
more
fine,
so
but it's not this.
Yes.
It's not this. And this is going to be a lot for her, and I hope she's able to take in the emotions of the building and be able to play in this game.
Especially when it comes to just winning the battle off the bounce. You catch the ball in the perimeter and the defense is shifted around a little bit. Tanaya gets the ball in the paint. Good things happen, whether she's the one shooting it or not, right? Because of how she can shift a defense that way. She's going to have to play within, which was something I think she's done really well this year, is play within the construct of the offense. And when her number's called upon to hoist one up or get a basket, she's got to be able to do it.
There will be a point where we need to get a bucket tonight. I mean, tomorrow night.
Absolutely. I think there will be a couple points where, because I think this will be a really close game. And Bart Torvik has this as a 79-78 South Carolina game. Almost having this as a push. This is about as close as he gets on his models to being a push in a game. And if you just look at the teams side by side with where they rank in certain things, yeah, it stacks up. It absolutely stacks up. And they both have different strengths than the other. Like LSU, another thing, too, is they are the best offensive rebounding team in women's college basketball, grabbing almost 40% of their missed shots. That ranks as numero uno. You got to be able to keep them off the glass. What's one thing that South Carolina's probably been the most pedestrian in when it comes to the four factors defensively? Defensive rebounding percentage. They only rank 121st in defensive rebounding percentage. There is a way in which LSU is going to be able to generate points. Can you keep them from doing that? Can you keep them from getting out in the open floor and playing their game? Because I think South Carolina can win both games. I think they're a little more of a basketball chameleon than LSU is. If you're able to handle the environment, play under control, throw that zone out there, I think the zone's going to give them trouble. And the reason I would pick South Carolina to win is because I think they've been so good with that zone defense that I think it will force LSU to have to take longer in the shot clock. And you'll see a somewhat similar result with Tennessee. I'm not saying they're going to blow them out and hold them to like 53 points. LSU's a better shot-making team than Tennessee is, but they play the same style in terms of wanting to play fast and get early shots up in the clock. And I think that's going to make a huge difference in this game. That's certainly something to watch for. But speaking of that zone defense, Coach Staley talked about that a little bit too. That's something I think is going to be very vitally important for them in this game. Coach Staley talked about that this week too. What did she think they have to do to be able to go to Baton Rouge and get a big win? We'll hear from her next here in the early game.
Not feeling like yourself lately? Well, maybe it's due to low testosterone. Brain fog's got you struggling to focus? Maybe it's due to low testosterone. Maybe you're working out and not seeing the results that you're used to. Maybe it's low testosterone. Dr. Dan Boltnight can help you with that. He can help you reclaim your drive, your energy, and your focus at the men's clinic. Dr. Dan is a respected local physician, and he'll get to the bottom of it. This isn't some online, faceless, nameless place where you just throw your numbers in and it goes off somewhere and you don't know who you're talking to or they're talking about you. At the men's clinic, you'll find a non-threatening, comfortable environment that's open to hearing your concerns. And don't worry. Your initial consultation with Dr. Dan Boltnight is absolutely free. So come get your T levels checked. You have nothing to lose. Call him at 803-875-MENS. That's 803-875-MENS. Or you can visit him online at mensclinicsc.com.
All right, on the roads this morning, not doing too badly at all as we start out early. We do have traffic flowing very freely, it says, Garnes Ferry Road between Lower Richland Boulevard and I-77. So that's good news there because sometimes that can be really, really bad. It looks like we're going to have pretty good weather today, but it's cooler than yesterday. 59 for a high, increasing cloudiness for Saturday, 40% chance of rain. Sunday, 90% chance of rain. Now, 63 for your high on Sunday, and then Monday, 61, slowly clearing for your high on Monday. This is Captain Dave in the Traffic Center.
A big element of the game tomorrow night, the top 6 showdown. They could have just made LSU number 5 so we can get a top 5 showdown.
One of my favorite sports things is how we stretch numbers. He's in the top 12.
That's right. Is there significance to the number 12?
Well, yeah.
In some?
The example was last year when we were in the top 13 preseason.
Does the top 13 mean anything in college football? No. But locally, it did, right? It did at that point. Top 13 team. But we have top 6 showdown.
6. Let's go.
Thanks, LSU, for ruining the whole top 5 thing. But anyway, number 3 versus number 6. I think a big element in this game is how often we see South Carolina's zone defense. It gave Mississippi State a ton of trouble. It gave Tennessee all the trouble in the world. And one thing that helps a lot is if you have tall lineups you can throw out there to play in that zone. How many times in that Tennessee game did you see a Tennessee player on the wing try to throw the ball into the post or maybe into the middle of the floor and it get deflected, right? I wish I had the numbers of how many deflections South Carolina got during that zone defense because it was a lot of them, more so than you'd get throughout the course of any other game. And it's something that I feel like this team is leading on a lot more recently. And earlier this week, Dawn Staley was on SEC This Morning, and she talked about her team maybe relying more heavily on a zone defense than they have in the past. Here's what she had to say.
Yeah, it hurt my heart. It hurt my heart big time. Like, and I think I told someone, I said that's more zone than we played in my 25-year career as a coach, combined. Never played that much zone. Never, never. Mm-hmm. A possession here or there. But then, you look at your players and it's all that we do is personnel based. So it's not, I prefer man, but if we can accomplish the same thing, not get into foul trouble, still rebound the ball at a high clip. I mean, it's a really good change up from what we're used to doing, and it's probably a lot less exhausting for our players. So they probably seem like they got more energy to do other things when we're actually not chasing people off of screens and just being ultra connected and communicating and just linking up. I mean, it's they found some real comfort and confidence in it.
You knew it.
I knew it.
You just knew she doesn't like doing this.
I knew it.
At all. It hurts her soul.
It's my favorite construct of coaches who have to do things to win that they just – it's, again, when Marcus Lattimore was running the ball 40 times, Coach Spurrier was just like, I'm glad all y'all are enjoying this. I'm not.
He calls the play, and they're immediately just like, another run play? Don't make me change my mind.
I love this because obviously we know this is Dawn's identity. We hinted at a couple of things that she's having to do and with this team, and that hints to her ability to adjust and adapt as a coach and all those things. But that's what great coaches do. You take your team. You may have your preferences of what you want to do, but it doesn't matter what your preferences are. If something else is working a little bit better, you go with that, even if you have to hold your nose and play zone.
And in this instance, it sounds like there's a lot of nose holding in two-play zone. And one part that I wanted to kind of respond to in that clip, too, she says maybe it's not as exhausting. And I will say when it comes to, playing the zone defense, it's not as physically exhausting. I will say it may be more mentally. Because if you're not sharp and you are not in a spot where you have to be, there are enough offenses in all of college basketball at any level. We can even go down to Division III. Every coach has a zone buster play at some point in time. Whether or not they're able to execute it is the difference between it winning and working, right? Or working and not working. And many of them involve back screens near the opposite block where the ball's at, right? Mostly, you see in the men's game that turns into lobs. Women's game, it turns into finding shots right at the basket. And if you recover really well, then maybe you can block it. Or there are a couple of other elements there. But mentally, I feel like you have to be a little sharper.
I've never played basketball at any high level that it mattered, but I could see myself in a zone maybe falling asleep a little bit.
You can be prone to that. Yeah.
So your brain, when you're chasing the screen, I have to be active this whole time.
Yes.
In a zone, if I'm hands up and I'm shuffling, I could see Oh, back screen. What? Dang.
You can fall asleep and a back screen happens, or you get what they call getting face cut when someone just cuts right in front of your face.
I can see that. I could see that happening. So yeah, I think physically taxing, but you have to be mentally engaged the whole time.
You got to know where everybody is. You got to know what your responsibility is, what the other player's responsibility is, because there's still help side defense on his own, right? If somebody's out of position and gets screened out of position, you don't want to give up a certain shot, you have to be the one to move over there, even if that's not in your designed area. You still ultimately, the goal is to make the team that you're guarding take the hardest shot possible. And sometimes that requires having to improvise a little bit, right? Having to rotate a little further to the corner if you're in the middle of it than you would have to. Or if you are a guard playing down a little bit, right, than you normally would have expected to. Like there are a few things that can happen throughout the course of a possession that require you to do more than what just the base responsibility is because of just how the play ends up going. And to me, that is maybe a little more mentally taxing than physically taxing. Because if you get face cut and they just hit the ball in the middle of the floor, they're going to score on that every time. Because now you're all out of position.
You know, and when you say that, I'm thinking about the environment also. And this is just me thinking out loud. But as a fan, if I'm really into the game, it might be difficult to what's the shot clock in the women's game?
Still 30.
30 seconds, right? I can really cheer for maybe 10 or 12 seconds of a possession. But now if we're on our third action, seventh pass of the possession, it's very difficult to keep that thing up the whole time.
Enthusiasm.
And so maybe is something that maybe taking the environment away a little bit by making those offensive possessions a little bit longer, making them have to work a little bit harder to get even if they get the same points, it doesn't have the same punch as you think about it. And that's just a way I would think about it.
There is even a mathematical value to making someone use more of the shot clock too. And that's if you just look at any data in the men's and women's game, the points per possession goes down almost the further. Now, it varies in between, 18 seconds on the shot clock and maybe 11 or 12. Like, there's really not a huge difference there. It dips after that, right? Once you get into, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, even, below 10, teams aren't as efficient shooting the basketball that way.
And again, it feels as if this team, LSU, they want to get into a frantic up-tempo type of game. Obviously, we're very familiar with Malaysia. She wants to come down and go behind the back and do cool stuff like that. Flage has some of that to her game. Also, Kim wants to be pacing up and down the sidelines, and that seems like that's where they want to go. So not only this is a strategic thing for points, but it also feels like it's sort of an emotional hedge also in this particular game.
Yeah, there's a reason that LSU plays over 76 possessions per game. It's good for seventh.
That's what they want to do. It feels like that's what they want to do.
Yeah, they want to get out there and they want to run. But coming up next, there is a certain college football national pundit, a very popular one, who evaluated Lenora Sellers this week. And let's just say he's not mad, maybe just disappointed. Is that worse than being mad? Well, we'll hear what he had to say about Lenora Sellers and his evaluation coming up next here in the early game.
There's a smash up this morning at Cabin Creek Road, Lower Richland Boulevard. That's going to be in Hopkins. Your weather outlook for today, 59 under sunshine today. A little bit lower, a little bit cooler than yesterday. Tomorrow, we'll have increasing cloudiness and a 40% chance of rain with 65 for a high. Sunday, rain, 90% chance of rain, 63 for a high. Monday, 61 under clearing skies. Then we'll get back better by Tuesday, and by Wednesday, highs in the 70s. This is Captain Dave in the Traffic Center.
One of the more prominent voices in college football had some Lenora Sellers thoughts. And anytime somebody does, whether it's Lenoris or just South Carolina as a whole, we like to play those on here because we talk about them all the time. But what do people that cover the entire sport have to say about this team or these players? Well, Kirk Herbstreit, dog not pictured, did share his thoughts on Lenoris's 2025 season on a podcast here in the past week. This will be cut 3, Dave. Here's what Kirk Herbstreit had to say when it came to his evaluation of Lenore.
I'm like you. I went into last year and I thought this guy is going to have a monster year. He had played well and played through some injuries the year before. I was part of probably the hype train. I thought this guy is, I think I got enough weapons around him for him to have a really solid year. I think I didn't, because they kind of got off the radar pretty quickly. And I really felt, if you look at Florida and South Carolina, both of those quarterbacks kind of did much worse than I think all of us expected. I really thought we were going to see some big years from both of them coming out of the SEC.
The vibe I got was, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, which I think is, if you hear that from a parent, it's worse. I'd rather be mad.
Yeah, that's if you respect the parent.
Also
the key condition of that play as a parent, you got to be respected. Because if they don't care, they don't care.
They don't care. They're checked out. Yeah, if they're checked out, fine. Be disappointed. I'm disappointed too. Join the club. Get in line, buddy.
Yeah. Very, very thin line you have to walk. I'm thinking about just teaching these parents. Like, if you want to play that card, you better make sure that they actually respect you. Because if they don't, it's like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Cool. I'll forget about this interaction in 20 minutes.
But anyway, I agree with that. I think we've all echoed that sentiment, but it's still missing a huge component. Mike Shula.
That was a big component.
I think Kirk Herbstreit, being the national pundit that he is, I think you owe that nuance to the audience to be like, Lenoris did not have his best season. He did not show up the way I thought he was going to show up last year. But I'd be remiss to not mention that his offensive coordinator was fired mid-season.
Because things were going
that bad, and it wasn't going that bad. It wasn't going that bad because of Lenoris. Even though he wasn't as good as he had been, there were still flashes, and so that's just maybe nuance that I would want to. And I think that has to be a caveat that anybody talks about Lenoris from last year, which I agree was disappointing. But you have to mention that his offensive coordinator was more disappointing and was fired mid-season.
Because that was a big part of it. Oh, and the offensive line coach was fired before the offensive coordinator was fired.
And that.
Because he spent one Saturday night in Baton Rouge having to cover miles on a football field without actually gaining many yards, right?
Right, and so I'm not caping. Okay, cool. I'm caping for Lenoris. No problem. That I don't. You can accuse me of that. That's no problem. But I just would point to those very two concrete issues, and I would say that if you would say like he had lack of development or there was still some things that we working in his game, I'd say yes. I think he should. He does need to do those things, but he has to be in a functional environment, which I'm assuming he will be in this year.
Especially considering how young he is. Like, he's really in his career, which will span into the NFL. He's in the infancy of his career. And when you are a first-time starter in the SEC, you have one offensive coordinator, that offensive coordinator leaves, and you have another one come in. That's two different offensive coordinators in your first 2 years of playing non-high school football, right? Once you're post-high school career, that type of stability does matter, right? And we've seen it with various results. I think with what we're going to see with Kendall Briles is a better version of him. Is it 2024 in the last 6 games? Still to be determined. I think we need to see that first before we can confidently say that's the case. But I think a lot of the struggles last year really did come from having an offensive coordinator who didn't exactly know how to formulate the offense to not just suit Lenore's strengths, but the strengths of the players around him too. Because what did we see when Mike Furry took over as the interim OC? We saw more screen passes. We saw more quick actions. We saw more plays that ultimately developed into the long balls that we saw, like in the 2 against Clemson, right? Like those had to be developed a little bit. There was more, I think better play sequencing, and the offensive line still didn't play well, but maybe it was better, given it the lower bar, to allow him to be a little bit more efficient and more useful on offense. Because my thing with Lenore is even in a year that he had in 2025, you still see the flashes of what makes him an intriguing NFL prospect. The arm, the ability to throw on the run, right? An ability to, at times, escape pockets that seem inescapable. I still remember that Kentucky game where the pocket collapsed, like that on a play in the red zone, and he spins out of it and ends up getting a first down. Or in the Virginia Tech game, when it's, 3rd and 11, he breaks out of a broken pocket and ends up breaking a tackle on the sideline and getting just an extra yard or two to be able to get a first down and seal that game. That type of stuff's still there. A lot of the stuff that made him special in 24 still could be seen in spurts in 25. I think a big key of at least getting him more consistent is going to be what Kendall Briles is tasked with and what Randy Clements is also going to be tasked with when it comes to fielding the team around him and developing other players at certain positions to allow you to get the best version of him.
The deep ball to Van Dreves against Missouri.
Beautiful. One of the best throws you'll see in college football.
One of the best throws you'll see. So those flashes were obviously there. They just weren't consistent enough. Hence they were 4-8, and hence they ranked where they did offensively. I think this season will be the season where you can definitively judge Lenore's. This is judgment season for him. All right. You have an established offensive coordinator. Check. You have experience playing in the SEC. Check.
2 years of it now.
2 years of experience. So all of those things are on the table. Now I think you can make your judgments about Lenore's. I still would bet very highly on him because I do feel like we're not just talking about potential. We're talking about things that we've actually seen. We're not talking about rumors or innuendo. We've seen these things happen, and I don't think they've gone anywhere. I think this new offensive system will produce a better opportunity to see those results.
And there's still some things that need to be
of course
grown, and that's natural. Like, I think the big thing for me is don't miss the layups in the passing game. I think the Ole Miss game I think you can define each of the losses that this team has had this year by certain deficiencies. I think the Ole Miss game is one where you can point to Lenore and say, yeah, you made some throws in that game, but also you missed a lot of layups in that game too. Mm-hmm. And when you miss layups in the passing game, you're wasting downs, right? Because you scheme up this play to get this look, and if it's open, you have to bank on your quarterback to get them that ball and to get the 7 or 8 yards or whatever it is that play is designed to get you. But if you miss that layup in the passing game, no yards gained, burn it down, and a lot of times it happened on 3rd down. His intermediate work, I think, especially like along the sidelines, can get better. And if he improves things like that, right, where he's not missing a lot of layups in the passing game, he's able to play on schedule, and he's able to get the 12 yards you need on a certain play by not just missing the throw, and he does that with consistency, I think you will see more of the 2024 Lenore Sellers, right? Because I'm old enough to remember that Missouri game.
Right.
I wasn't an infant. I remember watching that game, being at that game, and seeing what he did to that Missouri defense in the second half of that game and throwing for over 300 yards. I don't believe that player just left, right? I don't think that he devolved into something that made that look fluky.
And again, I'm going to put my cape on. You can call me the conductor of the hype train. I'll be that, no problem. But he made a comparison between the Florida quarterback and the South Carolina quarterback. Well, I would position that though we did not win games, Lenore's was never the reason we lost games.
And DJ Lagway was certainly a reason they lost games.
There you go. I think that's a huge distinction. Now, the Norris could have done some things to put us over the top and win, i.e. Alabama, maybe finishing the Clemson game with a chance to win. I get that. But he wasn't the reason they lost. DJ Lagway was the reason.
Yes. And never showed his full potential. Even in like the year, so at the end of 2024, when people were really high on Lagway, he still had a ridiculously high interception rate. I mean, ridiculously high. That just never got coached out of him. And now that's Dave Aranda's problem to coach that out of him over at Baylor, and we'll see if that ends up working. But coming up next, one of the players in that aforementioned Ole Miss game just got a 6th year of eligibility. But is it the best thing for him to get that 6th year of eligibility? Well, we'll discuss on the other side. Yesterday afternoon, the news came out, especially after some really weird stuff from the hearing got put out on the interwebs in terms of what Joe Judge said is required of a player to be good at this level.
Hey, Joe Judge, what's required of you to be good at any level? Because you haven't been.
I saw that man basically run like a victory formation on his own 5-yard line to force a punt. Like 38.
Get out of here, man. These are supposed to be our leaders. Joe Judge, get out of here.
If you've missed it, Joe Judge was in this hearing for Trinidad Chambliss and was saying, hey, partners of quarterbacks in the SEC or at this level of football, like, they don't need distractions. They need to be in another room. I'm like, buddy, you can still be a present partner and a good parent and still be good at your job, even if your job is really demanding. Is it hard? Yes. But we didn't go to the moon because it was easy. We did it because it was hard. I thought that was maybe the most pathetic soundbite you were going to find on the internet in the last 365 days. And the internet's littered with pathetic soundbites. And you look at Joe Judge.
Joe Judge. Just look at his Wikipedia and just ask yourself, how?
It tracks.
How'd that happen?
Like, that quote from him, it all tracks. But ultimately, they got what they wanted, which was Trinidad Chambliss getting that 6th year of eligibility. And it even involved, I saw Stuart Mandel's tweet where he's keeping up with it. God bless him. He watched the whole thing. And he goes, in the middle of this 45-minute preamble about from the judge about giving Trinidad Chambliss this extra year of eligibility, he cites Carson Beck not having a class for 2 years. Factually incorrect. Like, that is incorrect. So we're even citing wrong information when it comes to doing this type of stuff too. But Trinidad Chambliss is getting a 6 year of eligibility. He'll be looked at as maybe the best returning quarterback in the SEC this following year. Have a hard time definitively picking somebody better than Trinidad Chambliss. But the biggest question I have here is, would you rather be the best quarterback returning to the SEC or the 3rd quarterback taken in the NFL draft?
Oh, this is a philosophical question, obviously, because it has to go to, what do you actually value? I think it's with the emergence of NIL, rev share, we have the conversation where you would even consider coming back to college. Because before this, there would be no reason for you to come back to school. But now, with there being financial incentives, I do think this is interesting. If it was me personally, Preston, I want to go to the NFL because I don't want to be in college anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
College is fun, but at some point.
But there's also an argument for somebody to say, hey, man, it's really fun being the big man on campus. Again. I don't know. What do you think?
I think when it comes to money, you're better off just going in the NFL, especially in this quarterback draft, where with Dante Moore leaving, really the only 2 quarterbacks people would definitively take over you is Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson. And I wouldn't be so sure that Ty Simpson is a shoe-in better quarterback prospect in the NFL draft than Trinidad Chambliss. Like, you are what somebody values you, right? Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that thought, oh, I wouldn't take Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. And then you get into the draft process, and clearly other teams thought more highly of Jackson Dart than Shedeur Sanders. And I'm looking at the pay scale right now. This is from Pro Football Network. 3rd rounders, the highest pick, so pick number 65 of the 3rd round gets $5.7 million in total value, $1.2 million as a signing bonus. The lowest gets 5.3, so that's pick number 100 in total value, and then more than $857,000 in a signing bonus. Is Ole Miss going to guarantee him $5 million to be the quarterback next year? I don't know. Again, there's not a lot of transparency in this, so even trying to speculate on what I would do would be a little more difficult. But the money is the exact same, and you are one step closer to getting a 2nd contract in the NFL, right? I would definitely have just gone to the draft. And I think so I could get to the NFL, and if I'm not a starter, I can learn a lot of the things that other quarterbacks who have to start immediately don't get the luxury of, he would get the luxury of time. Other quarterbacks do not, because they're asked to start right away. And the NFL game is completely different, right? Why not go to the NFL and an NFL training camp and learn how to take a snap under center? Or learn how to read a defense after you run a play action, your back was to the defense for a little bit, and now you have to disguise post-snap. I'd rather learn that in a training camp and do it in practice for a year than have to do it on the fly in a pressure cooker market. But I don't know. Again, this is a personal preference thing. I think I would just go to the NFL.
Yeah, if your goal is to go to the NFL, just go.
Just go.
That's what I would assume would be your thing. And also, be remiss not to mention, hey, dog, you was in Division 2 years ago. This heater might run out. You're on a heater right now, my brother.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it because we don't know where this thing might
Because
end.
if he has a bad year, then he might not get drafted. And here's the thing, though. I believe enough in his abilities to be a guy who is just as good of an NFL quarterback as Ty Simpson. I watched both those guys this year, and I thought Chambliss was certainly better. Now, how much that is translatable to the NFL, hard to project. But I have a hard time believing that teams didn't watch him play and say, oh, you can play at least the game of football at this level. And then we can fix the nuance things once you get in our room. I don't know. That was a lot of trouble that he went through to get year number 6 of eligibility.
Yeah, and this is year number 6, and that's the other part. It's not as if he's fighting for like year 4 or just like trying to get his just due. Like you've already done it. You've accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
If I was his advisor, I'd say, man, if your goal is to go to the league, go.
Yeah, I think that's what I would have done for sure. But coming up next, to kick off hour number 2, it's opening day. We'll hear from Paul Mainieri, and we'll discuss our thoughts on this team coming up next.
Preston here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with your insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you and take care of the job for you. Now, if you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows or mirrors. And Absolute Glass will come out and take care of that for you, too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. I say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
All right, still working the accident at Cabin Creek Road at Lower Richland Boulevard. in Hopkins this morning. It's going to be 59 for a high today under sunshine. Also tomorrow, we'll have increasing clouds, 40% chance of rain. 65 for a high, 47 for your overnight low. Sunday, 63 for a high, but 90% chance of rain, 48 for your low. Monday, 61 for a high under clearing skies. And then Tuesday, 67. And get this, it looks like the outlook for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, into next week, 70s for your high. That sounds pretty good to me. I don't know about you, but looks great.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. He is Captain David Dare. And it is opening day. The college baseball season starts today. South Carolina baseball season starts today against Northern Kentucky. And no better way to get ready for this game than listening to our guy Bill Gunner and Tyler Head on the halftime show. They're going to be live over at the Village Idiot next to the stadium. I don't know exactly which street that's on, but I know it's the one next to the stadium. I've never been to that Village Idiot location.
Whaley Street.
Is it Whaley? Thank you, David Ayer. See, the lifer. He'll know. If anyone's going to know, it's going to be David Ayer.
I've been known to be there a few times.
Oh, frequenter of that specific location?
Yep, and the other one too. Hey, can't pass either of those up.
The only one I've been to is the one on 5 Points.
Yeah, good one too.
And my man Brian Glenn, fan of the show, friend of the show, friend of the YouTube stream. He came in for one of the games. I think it was that Ole Miss game, actually.
Bought them pizzas.
He did.
He came through with that fire, too.
He did. Oh, it was delicious. Every time I go to that one, I very rarely see Brian Glenn. I think I've seen him I think my success rate on seeing Brian at the 5 Points one is like 10%. Mm-hmm. But every time I go, I ask. I always want to say what's up. But that's where, not the one on 5 Points, the one on Whaley Street is where Tyler and Bill are going to be live today for the halftime show, leading up until 1 o'clock for the first game, because we have a doubleheader today against Northern Kentucky. Yesterday, we talked about the rotation and maybe one of those 3 pitchers that we're going to see in the opening weekend. They're going to be starting the games that maybe we're most intrigued with. And I kind of established tags to get to the 3 of them. Right, Riley Goodman's the mystery.
Yep.
Redshirted last year, but had a dominant high school career at Christian Brothers in Memphis. And then Amp Phillips is the intrigue because what he did at USC Upstate was put up some really good numbers, high velocity guy. If I have to kind of pinpoint the guy I think will be the best pitcher on this staff, since Jake McCoy's not going to be pitching this year, I've kind of zeroed in on Amp Phillips. I am amped for Amp, if you will. And then the known is Brandon Stone. We've seen a lot of him. We know what he's got. We know what we can rely upon. We know his strengths, his weaknesses. We got a sample size. Those are the 3 guys that you have in the rotation. Paul talked about the rotation and how it's kind of a work in progress earlier this week.
Well, I think it's a work in progress, in all honesty. I feel really good that Riley Goodman has, excuse me, bit my tongue. That Riley Goodman clearly has the stuff to compete in the SEC and be maybe one of the top pitchers in the conference play. He sits at 95, 96 miles an hour. He's got a really good slider. He's got a good changeup. For the most part, his control is really good. The only thing he lacks is experience. If Philpott and Jake were available, Riley probably wouldn't have started on the weekend, but probably would have started on Tuesday. And I would have been able to bring him along slowly, and eventually he would have worked his way into the rotation. I know I keep trying to knock that microphone out of hand. Italians like to speak with their hands. I can't help it. It's hereditary. But anyway, but, you know, it is what it is. Riley's out, Philpott's out. So when I looked at our possible Friday guys, opening game guys, I just felt that Riley Goodman, it's kind of like throwing the baby in the pool and teaching him to swim. I mean, he's got to gain the experience sooner or later, so he might as well right out of the gate. There's no question he's got the talent to do it. And he actually is a very poised and competitive young man. And I would be absolutely shocked if we don't see good out of him, not only this Friday, but in subsequent Fridays. Amp and Brandon probably would not have been in the starting rotation. Amp would have still been competing for the starting rotation. But they both need to show that they can do it because their stuff is not as elite as Riley Goodman's is. And so they have to be a little bit more perfect. They have to have good command. They got to put the ball not only in the strike zone, but in good places in the strike zone. They got to change speeds. And, they're getting an opportunity to do it, but I can't say it's etched in stone.
So a lot of thoughts to break down there. Very high on Riley Goodman. If you had your druthers and the team is as healthy as you imagined it just a few months ago, having him as the midweek starter to kind of ease him into a larger role would have been ideal. But instead, you're starting him on opening day, and you've kind of penciled him in as a Friday starter until Philpott's back and healthy, and we'll see what he's got. But is there anything that you take away from how he talked about Riley Goodman and the starting pitching staff?
Well, he said the one thing that he lacks is experience, and he was talking about this idea of not having the experience. And as I'm going to position here, we don't have time for you to gain experience, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It starts now. You're going to have to gain that experience on the job training, brother. Sorry. We wish we could have been a different way. We wish we could have had the opportunity to start you midweeks and do all that stuff. We don't have that luxury now because every single one of these games are extremely important. And unfortunately for them, for the staff, and for those players, but they signed up for it and they knew what it was. Every game is a referendum on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Game 1, Northern Kentucky. We're paying attention. Because if you slip up, people are putting their life jackets on. And this is maybe just me. So I'll only speak for myself. But I'm just looking the whole time like, okay. And what I'm trying to figure out is at what point will I be like, all right, I'm good. I'm on. And I don't know the answer to that. Maybe it won't be till Clemson. Maybe it won't be for a while. But they need to go ahead and take care of business this weekend.
Yeah, and do so in a way that draws the attention to you, right?
The right attention.
The right attention. Attention that brings people to the ballpark, right? I think one of the worst things last year was going to – I went to the LSU series, the second game of the LSU series, and it was a little discouraging how empty it felt and how many more LSU fans there were. And it's because people, obviously the season you had, at that point, it was already cratered.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford to have that, right? I know baseball's not a revenue-generating sport. However, you still want to create the excitement that this program has created around here for a long time to still be there. You don't want to lose that. And I think when we ran that Twitter poll, yes, it is a very small percentage of the fan base. It's not a full referendum on how everybody that follows Gamecock baseball feels, but still, it was 400 votes where 66% of people that participated in it said they're not excited about the season.
And that's the issue because opening day is supposed to be full of excitement. It's hope. It doesn't matter if I know my team's going to lose the next 162 games. Everybody is 0-0 right here, and that's what the feeling is supposed to be for opening day in baseball I think is different than every other opening day. Maybe football right behind it, but there's something of the eternal hope of opening day. Like, this could be the year. We can change things. We have a chance. Because you're about to go into this long slog of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But on this particular day, man, the grass is cut perfectly. The lines are laid down. Everybody's ready to go. And they're going to have to generate those feelings within the crowd this year. And it's going to take some excitement this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to prescribe 2 mercy rules.
Oh, what's better than 1 mercy rule?
I need 2. I need a sweep and 2 mercy rules. That's my prescription for this weekend.
That would draw a lot of intrigue, right? how good is Northern Kentucky in the mid-major sense? Don't know, don't care
Exactly.
at this point.
Exactly.
Because, again, opening day in baseball is so much more like ceremonial than maybe it is in any other sport.
That's the word.
And it's the ultimate, like, hope springs eternal sport for an opening day. But with this team, it's more like hope dangling on a string, like slow spinning redemption. Dashboard confessional lyrics. And it might be a dashboard confessional feeling season if you don't take care of business here in this first week. And I think a lot of that begins and ends with the pitching staff. So I have my expectations for the pitching staff. I think quality starts, don't walk a lot of batters. If you can get a lot of strikeouts, that's great. But also, don't give up a lot of great contact. I have some baseline expectations. But what does Paul Mainieri say are his expectations for the starters this weekend?
You know, this is a earn it business, and you have to go out there and you got to perform if you want to continue in that role. And they know that. You know, we have a couple of kids that actually I think probably are more deserving of being in the starting rotation than Amp and Brandon, and that's Alex Valentin and Josh Gunther. They probably pitched better than those other two guys. But I know in these first couple of weeks, our starting pitching is no way going beyond 5 innings, at least this first week, and no way it's going beyond 5 innings or 75 pitches. It may only be 4 innings. So it's important to get off to a good start, I think. You know, you never like falling behind in games, but whether you fall behind or take the lead, the most important innings are the last 4 innings of the game if you want to win the game. And I feel really good about putting Gunther and Valentin in those situations, at least in a couple of the games. And so, you know, we're going to just kind of see how it works out. And I hope all of them pitch great, and it's a tough decision for me going forward.
Hopefully it is a tough decision because they're all pitching so well. And even, you know, the bullpen, he talked about Gunther and Valentin coming in. And if they pitch really well in relief roles, would it entice him to put one of those guys in, you know, the starting rotation, especially for someone like Valentin, who is a left-handed pitcher? Right now, those 3 that are starting this weekend are all right-handed. And it is kind of nice to be able to have a steady balance of right-handers and left-handers to be able to use, especially in your starting rotation. So would it be enticing if Valentin comes in and pitches really well to be able to say, hey, we need a lefty for a starter on a Sunday or a Saturday? Yes, absolutely. But I think maybe our baseline expectations maybe meet the coaching staffs too, but theirs are a little different in terms of how they have to evaluate them.
Of course.
We're focusing more so on what do we actually see on the baseball field in terms of results.
Right, and as I said, it's unfortunate because they've put themselves in the spot where the fans are in a what can you do for me right now situation. They don't necessarily have the luxury with the fan base to experiment or figure things out because they have to go out and win. And I would argue they have to go out and win convincingly in order to get people to get on board with what the team has to offer. So, but as he just said, this is an earn it business. And that not only goes for the players, that goes for everybody involved. That goes for all people who have a hand in this operation. So when we look out there, we're looking to see some things like, are they going to be aggressive on the base pass? Are they going to make plays in the field? Do they field the ball cleanly? Those types of things that they didn't do last year. I think this types of series is what you want to look and see moving forward.
Now, out of all the players that I'm intrigued to watch, there's, again, with a team with so many newcomers, there's a lot here on the roster that we just haven't watched a lot of, if any of. But one player that's not pitching, because I know we've really focused in a lot on pitching, because I do firmly believe that is what raises your floor a little bit, is if you do have sound pitching. But Tyler Bach is one of those players. I know our man Stuart Lake talked a lot about him when he was on with us last week. In terms of intrigue, this is a kid that at Wofford hit over 300 and was consistently stealing bases pretty well. I think he had over 11 stolen bases during the season. Had 2 against Kentucky. But he's a base stealer, hits for good average. Is that going to translate for a full season here? I think that leadoff role is one of the more important roles in baseball. And I remember listening to Tyler yesterday talking about it, and I agreed wholeheartedly. Like in the SEC, getting somebody that you can rely on to get on base to start every game is a plus. I know kind of lineup philosophy has changed over the years, where maybe you want your best overall hitter.
I'm about to say, has that trickled down to college baseball yet?
I think it's starting to.
Okay.
It's definitely starting to. But I am still maybe a little more old school, where I just Give me somebody who can get on base and who also has maybe a little bit of wheels to him too. And Tyler Bach fits that from what he's done at Wofford. That's maybe in terms of players in the batting lineup, I'm really intrigued to watch.
That makes a lot of sense. Before we get out of here, I just want to mention that if I could put that sound on a sleep timer and just listen to BP being thrown, it would put me to sleep. Just the ping, the throw, occasionally it hits the mat. What a great sleep sound.
The best Nat sounds in sports for interviews, I have them ranked. Number 1, batting practice.
Oh, an upset.
Number 1, batting practice. Number 2, hockey sounds, like slap shots, ice skating a little bit. Working in a hockey market, I've had plenty of interviews where you hear that, like it's even hard to replicate. But then number 3, basketballs.
Wow, an upset.
In terms of just best Nat sound to go with an interview.
Nice.
So those are the official Elijah Campbell Nat sound rankings. But coming up next, it's the early game morning meeting, and Preston and I have some specialized Gamecock Valentine's Day cards, and we also have a PSA. We'll tell you what that is coming up next.
right, got a wreck up in it's Nepar Road. If you know where that is, up in the northwestern part of the county there, up near, let's see, it's going to be past Chapin, on up there near the big reservoir, so look out for that. Other than that, it's almost in Newberry County, as a matter of fact. We're looking to at Cabin Creek Road at Lower Richland Boulevard. Your weather outlook for today, well, it's going to be a little bit cooler with a high of only 59. Tomorrow, increasing cloudiness, 40% chance of showers. Sunday, 90% chance of showers with 63 for a high. Monday looks pretty good as well.
All right, I got my silly goose hat on. It's time to be silly, but also a little serious because one Preston Thorne has a Valentine's Day PSA for all of you out there. And we also are going to get silly when it comes to having our own created Gamecock-themed Valentine's Day cards. That being said, Captain David Dayer, hit it.
Good morning. Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
Yes, it will.
Let's go.
Even if it is Friday the 13th.
Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
It will. And before we get to our Gamecock-themed Valentine's Day cards, which aren't actual physical cards, I will say I didn't put the work into actually printing these out and making them, but I did put the work into coming up with Gamecock puns that'd be funny to put on a Valentine's Day card if you would like to make some for your own for your Gamecock-loving significant other.
Yeah, I just want to give a special PSA for everybody within the sound of my voice. And I will do this every year on these dates leading up to Valentine's Day. And I want to make this very simple for everybody. Run the play. Run the play. Valentine's Day is not the day to big brain this thing. Run the play. Whatever the play is for you in your relationship, run it. Do y'all like to go out to restaurants? Go. Do y'all like to stay in? Stay. Do you like to go to the movies or a matinee? Do that. Run the play. This is not the day for a big. This is not the day for you, Pete Carroll, to call this passing play on the 1 yard line. Just give it to Marshawn, let him score a touchdown, and run the play. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I don't know how many different ways I can say it. But whatever it is for you in your relationship, run the play. That's if you're at the early stages of your relationship, especially if you're in later stages of your relationship. And oh yeah, that also means for folks in the later stages of your relationship, run a play. Do not think that you can get away with just sitting on the ball and not running a play. You cannot get in victory formation here. You have to run the play and run a play.
Because there's still a score that needs to be had.
You still have to execute on this day. And I would just advise you to dig into whatever y'all's thing is and do it. Don't try to do the opposite. Not today. That's what the rest of the year is for.
Yes.
Valentine's Day is just for simple, pure execution. More Valentine's Days are lost than won. Just like football. More Valentine's Days are lost than won. Just keep that in your mind. Don't lose the game. Take care of the ball. Run the play. You'll be fine.
And also, don't let Valentine's Day be the only day you do something super special. There's an element of randomness I have learned helps.
Don't let that just run the play. That's all I got for you.
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. You know who you're with. You know what they like. You know what y'all like. Run it. You remember how Seattle Seahawks this Super Bowl ran the outside zone over and over and over again?
Spammed it.
Just run the outside zone, whatever that is for you and your relationship.
That is very good advice. I love that. And that is free. You didn't have to pay for any of that. You didn't have to find some ad on Instagram that said, is this happening in your relationship? Well, pay for our course, and we will tell you what to do. No, Preston Thorne has it for you.
If you got a pizza and beer relationship, don't bring out sushi today because you think it's some fancy day. Run the play.
I love it.
That's all I'm going to say.
Can you pull out a coupon at the dinner?
Depends on if that's part of your relationship. If y'all are really into saving money and that's y'all's love language that you speak, you be like, babe, you're not going to believe this, but I got this sweet deals card. And she'll be like, oh, my God, you saved us all that money. Run the play.
And the best thing about Sweet Deals is you can just go on our website and find it. If saving money is your deal, we have plenty of cool Sweet Deal stuff for a lot of fine establishments here in town and in the Midlands. If you're in Lexington as well. Now, when
it's an oil change a good present for Valentine?
Possibly.
This is KYP, David Ayer. Know your personnel.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know your personnel and that significant other really needs an oil change and the love language is acts of service, then, buddy, that's a slam dunk right there.
You're taking care of her, right? You're taking
yes,
care of her.
absolutely.
There you
but
go.
if that's not their thing, then don't do it.
Run the play.
Don't do it. No, do what you know is going to have a high success rate. And that's applicable to sports, Valentine's Day.
I say this all the time, but you might be old enough to remember when Marcus Satterfield ran that toss sweep pass with the defensive end on the 2-yard line.
Don't do that.
It's not the time.
No. There are times where trick plays are good. They work.
Got all the year to run a trick play.
364 days of picking and choosing when you're running the trick play.
Not today. Not tomorrow.
Now, again, I did not take the effort to print these out and make actual Valentine's Day cards with puns of Gamecock players' names, but I was definitely in my bag and coming up with them.
I heard a few of them.
And I've got the Silly Goose hat on, so we're here for optimal silliness here on this program. And I hopefully maybe inspire somebody to be able to make one of these and actually take in that effort to do it. Starting off number 1, this Valentine's Day card just reads, I Mason love you.
Nice.
That's the layup, right? That one's the layup. I didn't have to think too hard about that. But sticking with South Carolina Gamecock specialist, I'll suck up to only you, Ryan Suckup. Anybody remember? Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another card has Preston Thorne's old coach on it, and it just reads, you got a Holtz of my heart.
Nice. You really got a Holtz on me.
You really got a Holtz on me. Ah, it's even better. I like that one better. See, this is what the workshopping is for on air. Another one. You are the right one for me, but right is spelled with a W, and it's a picture of former Gamecock quarterback Anthony Wright.
Mm-hmm.
Another one. I want a Mike hold your hand. For all those 80s Gamecock football fans out there. I like your juju, McDowell.
That's a good one.
And then I had to come up with one basketball one. For some reason, I found that one to be the hardest one, but I came up with one. And that is, I always, Dwayne, notice you.
You've been put on notice.
You've been put on notice. Mm-hmm. Now, somebody who actually has maybe the time, or if your significant other is really into Gamecock athletics, you can make these cards yourself. This would not be a play for me.
That's not the play.
That's not the play. But it might be the play for somebody. And if we've learned anything here, if it's the play for you, run it. I didn't know we'd ever become an A+ show and giving dating advice.
Listen, man, it's just I just have it one day. I can't tell you what to do the rest of the year. This one, just run the play.
The one day that you have the secret to.
Mm-hmm.
And what, 365 days we'll be doing this once again.
We'll be back.
But coming up next, Professor P not only breaks down what to do and what not to do on Valentine's Day, but we have noticed a little something other people have noticed. What the Seahawks did to win a Super Bowl and whether that is the next big trend in football. And can offenses recover? We'll get in the classroom coming up next. Now, Preston and I can sit here and give you Valentine's Day advice. And I'm not really good at giving great life advice anyway. I leave that maybe to others. I ask my opinion, or I give my opinion if you ask for it. But there is one thing that I can help you with, and that is if you are having issues with income or business tax, and you're stuck in that IRS maze, which seems almost impossible to get out of at times, my advice would be to give John Ecton and his team at the Ecton Law Firm a call. 803-771-9800. That's the number you can call to set up a free consultation. In that free consultation, John and his local team that's been resolving income or business tax issues for many years here in South Carolina will walk you through the process, come up with a game plan, because they understand these types of challenges. There's nothing that you can shock them with in terms of what they haven't seen before. They're very well versed. Again, 803-771-9800 or visit EctonLawFirm.com. That is ECTONLawFirm.com.
All right, right-hand lane is blocked. I-77 northbound coming off of I-26 there at exit number 1. Also, we're looking at a wreck at 176 at Parr Road up near Newberry County. So look out for that. Weather outlook for today, a little bit cooler with a high of only 59. Tomorrow, increasing cloudiness, 40% chance of rain, 65 for your high. Sunday, 63, 90% chance of rain. Monday, slowly clearing, 20% chance of rain, 61 for a high, but we'll see the 70s into next week. It's Captain Dave in the Traffic Center.
There's a lot to learn from that Super Bowl, and one of my favorite things about games like that are on such a big stage, with a league like the NFL, which is certainly a copycat league, that means there are things that the winners do in that game that might end up resulting in schematic changes throughout the NFL. And to get Preston's take on this, it's time to get the clipboard back out and break it down on Professor P.
It's the sport of kings, better than diamond rings. Football, Wildcat football, Wildcat football, Wildcat football.
So, before we get to Preston's breakdown of this, what inspired me was seeing this video from a podcast earlier in the week discussing what the Seahawks do from what somebody else that I also highly value their opinion of. So before we get from Preston, let's hear Nate Tice on Football 301 about the advantage that defenses like Seattle have.
I agree with you, Matt, that the protections right now, to me, the defenses have a huge advantage. Protection rules are busted right now. And there's a couple teams that are doing some stuff that's helping it out. They use different offensive stuff like cadence, late motion. Of course, the Rams are on top of a lot of stuff, but Ben Johnson and the Bears, another team. But I do think that more defenses have the advantage on passing downs just because they're breaking protection rules. Like the protection beaters, like we saw tonight. Again, watch those first 2 third downs. The running back can't be right on those plays. He, no matter what, is wrong, and there's going to be an automatic free runner unless the offensive line slides into it. And that takes advanced play and advanced coaching. And there's only a few guys that can do that. Every offensive line coach that can do that gets paid a lot of money and gets picked up right away. It's very, very hard. And that's where the next frontier is to me. Is that has to be a step. We want to talk about zone runs and all this stuff and 13 personnel and play action shot plays. It's like protections. Protections is where the next frontier is and where the advantages come.
So, Professor P, translate that into English for us.
So the name of the show is Football 301 for a good reason. And if you're very interested in football, I think Nate does an excellent job. I think Nate is very good. I think that's a great podcast if you really want to get into the real schematics of football when you're looking at what we're trying to figure out. But here in Professor P's class, this is 101, right? You can get the 301, but we got to build with the foundations. And one of the big things about foundational ideas is that defenses are winning because they're able to disguise their defenses a little bit better than they have been in the past. Now, what offenses have used to do or have traditionally done is they use motions, as you heard Nate say, like late motions, or they use motions to, or if you've ever played Madden, you use a motion to figure out whether or not the defense is in zone or man. If you use a motion and the guy follows him across the formation, then they're in man. If they use a motion and he goes across the formation and they don't follow him, then they're in zone. Well, defenses, and this is not necessarily a new technique, but defenses have figured out how to disguise that we're in zone while playing man. And the way that they do this, Elijah, is through the counting system.
Ooh.
When you're watching football, you want to employ the counting system. Offense, now this is from a defensive perspective. When you're on defense, you count the number of eligible receivers from outside in, meaning the furthest outside receiver will be number 1, the next one will be 2, 3, 4, and it usually only gets to 4. And that's how you assign who you're covering on in your assignments. So you'll be like, more than likely, the cornerback will be responsible for number 1. The safety will be responsible for number 2. The linebacker will be responsible for number 3. Remember, we're counting outside in from our perspectives. And the reason why you go outside in is because if you went the other way, that number could change.
Very frequently.
Right. So we're always going to start with 1 on the very outside. 2 will essentially be a slot type of receiver. 3 is a tight end. These are in traditional formations. Remember, this is 1-on-1. when they motion across, so say if you have your slot motion across and he was 2 on the left side of the offense, and he motions across to the right side of the offense, he's still number 2, right? Mm-hmm. Or if he goes outside of who is number 1, he now becomes number 1, and you just say, I always have number 1 regardless, so I always have the last man on the outside of the formation. And you do that so that you don't have to give it away. And if you watch the Seahawks defense, they did a lot of that. It's just a lot of the communication. That's why communication is so important, because we're talking. If you're saying number 2's going across the formation, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, got him, 1, 1, 1, or whatever the conversation is, that has to happen. And so if you got nothing else out of this, when you're watching defensive football, understanding that you employing the counting system of being able to count the eligible receivers starting from outside in. The man furthest on the outside of the formation will always be number 1. The next person will be 2. Traditionally, it'll be 3 and then 4, and that's usually your outside receiver, slot, tight end, running back. And that's how we count receivers in defensive football.
And that's kind of just been like a counteraction, because I love how the game evolves where one side of the ball has a little bit of an advantage, the other counteracts it. Like when Patrick Mahomes had his first, or second full year as a starter, where he threw for 50 touchdowns and had that absurd season, and a lot of it was going over the top. You saw a lot of teams play them in a too high shell, and then you saw teams, no matter if they're playing the Chiefs or not, run that too high shell, and then a lot of offenses couldn't counteract that. In this instance, it's using a lot of pre-snap motion to identify what the other team does, and that would give the offensive a little bit of an advantage. But what the Seahawks team has done really well is do exactly what you just mentioned. Now it's up to the offense to have to kind of figure out how to combat that. I don't know what the best way to do that would be.
Well, the Seahawks get into like 301, very high-level things, because they disguise zone, and then they actually end up playing man based on the guy that's going in motion. And then they're also switching who has who. So where the traditional guy that you would traditionally expect to be in man here, he may not be there. And so that's where you get into the I'm seeing ghosts type of thing, because the dude who is supposed to be there according to all football rules sometimes is not there with that defense. And so the reason why they can do that is because Nicky Mainieri is so much of a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
That he can do all of these things, and you can put him in zone, and you can put him in man, and he can cover all of these different spaces. And they have a couple guys on that defense that can do that. So yeah, that is essentially a football 101. But I would advise, if you really want to get into it, I think Nate Tice and Football 301, they do a great job of breaking down some very extreme, complex things in as far as football and scheming is concerned.
And if you want to know how Nate Tice knows all this, his dad was former Vikings head coach Mike Tice.
One of my favorites.
One of the original pencil in the ear guys. Did he do that before Matt Patricia? Did Matt Patricia
that's a good question.
steal the pencil in the ear valor from Mike Tice?
I don't know, but you always want to listen to Mike because Nate was a quarterback. Mike was an offensive lineman, so I think he has both of those perspectives.
Yes.
As far as how protections and all that. We can get into protections a little bit later, but from that defense perspective, remember, outside in, 1, 2, 3, always counting those things.
A good defensive perspective there. And here's the fun thing, too. A lot of teams are going to try to replicate what the Seahawks do, and a lot of GMs and coaches are going to get fired for trying it because they might not have the personnel to do so.
Let's run the Tampa 2.
Oh, we don't have Derek Brooks. Don't run the Tampa 2.
Oh, we don't have Warren Sapp and Booger McFarland clogging up the middle with John Lynch playing strong safety and Rondé Barber, an all-pro Hall of Fame quarterback over there. Let's still try it.
Why does it not work the same way it works for them? It worked for them just fine. I guess back plan B. Oh, but coming up next, it is Valentine's Day weekend, and while there is no love lost between the South Carolina and LSU women's basketball program for the game they're going to be playing tomorrow night, and arguably the biggest game of the regular season, we'll stick to the theme of being nice on Valentine's Day because Kim Mulkey had something nice to say about South Carolina. What did she say, and what nice things do we have to say about her? Coming up next. Don't know if you have a calendar or not. And if you don't have a calendar, you can just use your phone, and it would tell you that today is February 13th, meaning tomorrow is Valentine's Day.
Run the play.
Run the play. And usually the play in South Carolina LSU is a lot of animosity. Mutual respect, but animosity. But in the spirit of Valentine's Day, we're going to be nice. Because Kim Mulkey was nice. And Kim Mulkey did have some really nice things to say about this South Carolina program. And here's what she had to say.
Oh, they just have so much depth. I mean, just the high school All-Americans that they have on their team, and they're long inside, Link, Raven Johnson, their point guard. She just is a tremendous leader for their program. And then you add Latson to the mix, and then Tessa, the three-point shooter. I mean, what don't they have? And so we've got our hands full. We've got our hands full. They're very, very good.
We got Kim Mulkey. Yeah! Oh, that gets the crowd going every time. Every time. They knew what he was doing.
If you needed context, I think you know the type of event that was.
Yes.
Right? It was I'm assuming it was a coach's show or something like that.
Yep.
That was at the coach's show. So imagine the energy that's going to be in the building on Saturday.
Buddy.
We got Kim Mulkey.
They're going to be screaming that in the arena when the game starts. We got Kim Mulkey. But you know what? Kim was being very complimentary.
And I felt genuine. I felt like those were genuine.
And it's one thing when she said it after the loss.
Exactly.
It's sometimes, kids, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. The message was the exact same. It came off as bitter and sour grapes whenever they were fresh off a loss here at CLA last year. And she said, goes, yeah, it'd be nice to have a bench full of All-Americans. McDonald's All-Americans, you got 5 on the court, and you're bringing in 5 off the bench. Oh! It makes that weird noise, I guess, that she made at the end of this. It'd be nice. Sorry, Kim. But she was being nice. So I want to say something nice about Kim Mulkey. I don't think birds are terrified whenever she walks into the room. Because they know that they might be sacrificed next for her outfit.
I'll say something nice about Kim Mulkey also. I think she's aggressive, straightforward, and I think players appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to know where you stand in HVL last year. I think she knew 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She knew where she stood with Kim. Not on the good side.
Right.
Also, I thought was really interesting with that, I think Kim, Miss Mulkey, if you're nasty, she was very familiar with Tanaya, and I'd assume that's from portal dealings.
Like she had a desire for Tanaya whenever Miss Latson entered her name into the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Right? I think that was definitely the case there. That's probably why she's so familiar, is because she was gunning for it.
Uh-huh.
But one thing I will say about Kim, too, is I do love, like, the energy.
Of course.
Love the passion, love the energy, and I love just how candid she is. And we talk all the time about how we wish college football coaches maybe were a little more candid. I think you get more straightforwardness in things like press conferences with basketball coaches, especially some of the high-end ones that know that their job security is pretty intact. Now, I know Jerome Tang from Kansas State men's basketball had a little bit of a banger this week when they got beat by almost 30 points to Cincinnati at home, where he goes, none of these guys deserve to wear this uniform. And we have practice at 6 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to find out who really wants it. Like, that's great. That candidness came from, this guy's probably going to lose his job. Like, he is actually in jeopardy of losing his job. So you have maybe a little bit, like, on the spectrum, if somebody is, feeling like they're on the hot seat, they're going to say something a little more, I guess, truth serum-y than they would if they were just content. Or if you know that your job security is pretty firm and you want people to know that, hey, I love the game plan. We just didn't execute it. They'll let you know. I think Kim, doesn't matter where she is on that scale, is always going to be really candid.
Yeah, she's at the top of the scale.
We'll never find her way at the bottom.
No, the thing that she said also that was like, I think I get it. They were talking about LSU and how, especially when Angel Reese was there, and it was like, oh, well, they have a team full of big personalities, whatever that means. And Kim was like, that's all right. I got a big personality too. I was like,
Yeah, you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. I see how this works now. I understand how this works. There's very clearly who's the big dog walking around there.
Sorry, I shouldn't say I'm the biggest personality, because she is. Any team she's ever coached, she absolutely is.
Really quickly, sequence or feathers or.
Pink feathers, Valentine's Day. That's my call. I'm calling my shot.
Ooh.
I think we are going to get extra festive.
Ooh.
Kim's got a sense of style, and she's got a calendar. She knows what day it is.
Last time we played him, she disappointed him. She wore something very conservative. It was like green or something. I was like, come on, Kim.
You can
put it on.
Like,
you know what we came here for.
Again, like everybody else on Valentine's Day, Kim Mulkey, run the play.
Run the play.
Run the play.
And pink feathers would be the play.
That would absolutely be the play. Hour number 3 is coming up next. Our final part of the Lamont Paris era series. That's next.
All right, a Record Line 77 northbound coming off of 26, exit number 1. Got a wreck there in the right-hand lane, Augusta Road at Oak Drive and St. David's Church Road in Oak Grove. Have an accident there as well this morning. Weather outlook, a little cooler today with increasing cloudiness for tomorrow. 65 for your high tomorrow. Sunday, 90% chance of showers, 63 for a high. Monday, 61 with a small chance of showers. Then we'll see increasing temperatures. 67 Tuesday, 73 Wednesday, 77 Thursday, 79 called for on your Friday.
The early game, third and long hour, starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. He is Captain David Dare. And then in our Studio 803 video production room, our man Thomas, still riding the high of his Seahawks, winning the Super Bowl.
You get a full week. You get a full week to do whatever you need to do.
It's basically a personal parade.
Absolutely.
Where all behavior is excused.
Maybe not Ernest Jones on the podium, though.
Oh, we do have FCC rules that we
we can't go that hard, Thomas. So
I can't have Thomas coming in here hijacking the mic and saying, if you say anything about my quarterback or my defense, my offensive line, and then
2 words, love you.
Yes. Or as CeeLo Green would say, forget you. Right?
There you go. Exactly.
That was FCC friendly. That had a lot of play when I was in high school.
Yes. Big hit. Unlikely hit.
It was a big, unlikely hit.
Nerd alert! The song was written as a joke.
What?
It was written as a joke, as a way to get CeeLo warmed up, as they was going to be presenting some other songs to him. And he was like, no, that's the one.
He said, this one's kind of a bop. Yeah.
And he took it.
CeeLo Green or Gnarls Barkley, who had the better run? I know it's the same person. I know, but under which moniker?
Man, listen, Elijah, it's 8 o'clock. We got a lot of sports to talk about, and that is a rabbit hole that I can get very deep down because I have a very controversial opinion, and CeeLo Green is one of the greatest to ever do it.
Oh.
Period.
I haven't taken that much of a deep dive into the CeeLo Green / Gnarls Barkley.
One of the greatest to ever do it.
But I do think the song Crazy by Gnarls Barkley still goes, to this day, stupid hard.
And Gnarls Barkley's second album, Saint Elsewhere, better than the first. Said it.
It sounds like I have homework to do.
Deep dive.
Deep dive time. We've been doing a pretty big deep dive on the Lamont Paris era and doing a series on kind of chronicling everything that has transpired since he was named the head coach. We even went back in part 1 to look about what had to happen for him to be able to be on the radar at South Carolina. Now we're in part 4, the next step. Now, one of 2 things will happen once the season ends. One, this season is the last chapter of the Lamont Paris era, and then the story ends. Or 2, he is given an extra year, and it's the ultimate prove-it year. So for the purposes of this discussion, we will assume that 2 happens. And if 2 happens, how do you turn this thing around? I think it is possible to do because we see examples in college basketball of constant roster change. Again, if you want a reflection as to how extreme and radical the roster turnaround is in college basketball compared to college football, if you look at Ken Palm's trends page, they have a returning experience metric, which is the percentage of minutes you return from one year to the next. And they have it tracked, it's tracked pretty much throughout all the years he's been doing this. He's been doing this since 1996, 1997. And I think tracking data only for experience only goes back to the last 20 years. This year it's 25%. Last year, the average team returning minutes was 44%. We have gone down through now a whole, evolution of transfer portal happening, but you're still on average keeping about half your roster to keeping a fourth of your roster. And that is a pretty strong reflection as to how radically different you are going to make your team year in and year out. So that's why I say it is possible, but how do you make that possible in this specific situation with this program?
My first question would be, and this is where you'd have to go deeper into the data and provide it, is to be which fourth of that roster are these teams keeping? Are they keeping fourths of the roster, the top fourths of the roster, or are they keeping the bottom fourths of the roster? Because as we look at this roster, well, there's going to be players who, at least we think, don't have any more eligibility left. Then we never know. Then there'll be some other players who might be able to be retained, but there's not a lot of production that has come from them from this year. So it does feel like the roster is in a bit of a quandary. That obviously there's going to be a remaking that needs to happen, but that is a positive sign that it can be done, and it has to be done. And it wouldn't be just us doing it. Everybody's going to be doing it. So it's going to be like musical chairs, and things will be happening all around the SEC.
And we even have an example of how that can work here, right? Because when you look at the year they went to the NCAA tournament, there was a lot of roster changeover. There was a whole lot of having a select few players that you relied upon the most, like a G.G. Jackson. Hayden Brown started a lot of games. You were able to bring back some of them. Oh, my God. I don't know what's happening right now. There's a man. For those, if you're watching on the YouTube stream, then you know what's going on.
I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run.
There's a Cupid in the studio. There is a bag of popcorn in his hand.
Give you up. Elijah, we have a special Valentine singing telegram from your woman, Mira. From Stupid Cupid singing telegrams, my friend. There we go.
Let's grab him a chair. Yeah, grab that chair right here. Can you get my man mic'd up here? Oh, he is mic'd up. Okay, so you could hear the singing, yeah, over the air. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And I've never been more surprised by something that has happened in a show in my life. I'm in the middle of breaking down Lamont Paris in this basketball program, and my man, Stupid Cupid Services, he comes in. He's got, like, quite literally dressed as Cupid with a cowboy hat. This is remarkable. This is absolutely remarkable.
Fantastic.
So you were set.
I'm set, man. We have a lot of fun. I got about 12 or 13 singing telegrams to do today and a bunch tomorrow, and just having a fun time.
Big day ahead of you.
Yes, sir. Great time.
So how did this all go down? How do you get booked for things like this?
You can look up Stupid Cupid Singing Telegrams on Facebook, and I'll have a website here pretty soon, but just started doing it last year, and it's my biggest year, so I'm having a good time, man. I do birthday parties, anniversaries. Obviously, Valentine's is my biggest.
I was going to say this is your Super Bowl.
This is my Super Bowl.
You just got done playing in the having the Super Bowl. This is your Super Bowl.
This is mine, man.
I've got the flyer right here too, and it says on the back too, "Stupid Cupid strikes again," and it certainly has. I'm going to say, there's running the play, and then there's just not knowing what was about to happen. My man here runs the play.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What do you think about this basketball team?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't follow it that much.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That man's busy.
This
man's got things to do.
Busy. I didn't know if he was a hoop or not. You never
know.
Might as well see if he is.
You gotta ask.
You surprised by the Super Bowl result? Is Stupid Cupid surprised by the
No, I was thought the Seahawks were gonna do it. Yeah.
I have questions.
Sure.
Stupid Cupid, do you take requests as far as songs are concerned?
I do.
Is there a playlist, or how does this work?
I have a list of songs, and also, I can learn anything pretty quick, so whatever they want. Miro just wanted Rick Astley, so.
Oh!
We got live Rick rolled.
We got Rick rolled, yeah.
In person.
I've been Rick rolled by clicking a link of something that seemed like this very wild news article, only for Rick Astley to pop up and sing the song. So
That's great.
that was a specific. So Mira asked you.
She asked me to do that specifically. Yes, she did.
That's called running the play.
That is running the play.
We knew you would enjoy this.
If your significant other is into bits, this is. I'm not gonna lie. I wish people could see my face.
Oh, they can.
Yeah, like whenever he walked in, I was like, "What is going on?" This is very coordinated too, because we had. I noticed Terry was down here. I'm like, Terry's never down here this early, and then I saw his phone.
That's strange.
Recording something. I'm like, that's a little odd. And then I see Randy get behind that camera right there, where Kaylin's behind for B106 right now. It's slowly panning over, and we have a TV monitor in front of us here too, in the studio. So I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, well, the camera's on like the hallway. All of a sudden, the rest is history.
Well, I almost gave you popcorn treat to a homeless guy, but I figured I'd save it for you.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, yeah.
No problem.
They might need it more than me, but you know what? This looks delicious.
It is, man. We make those ourselves. I have another little company, Jeff Coach Singing Peanut, and we do boiled peanuts and popcorn treats.
Well, Stupid Cupid, before you get out of here, can we get maybe another rendition of Rick Astley for us before we hit the break?
Of course. It'll have to be the same song, obviously.
Yes, sir.
We'll Rick roll you one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Hit that music, David Ayer.
We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. My favorite part. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna give you up. Mira's never given you up, I don't think, brother.
I don't think so.
Not after this.
I don't think so. Oh, man.
Happy Valentine's, my friend.
Happy Valentine's Day, good sir. Thank you for the work you do. Again, Stupid Cupid Services.
Stupid Cupid Singing Telegram.
Stupid Cupid Singing Telegram.
We wrote you a little note on the inside, but y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's, everyone. And we'll see you some other day.
Absolutely, Stupid Cupid.
I'm going to try not to get attacked.
Oh, man. Well, I expected a lot of things because, every day for the show, I have a show rundown. I didn't have getting Stupid Cupid Singing Telegram on the rundown sheet. That was not expected.
Well played. Execution. Flawless. Great job.
I did find it odd when Mira asked me, she goes, "You're going to be in studio Friday morning, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? Do you need me to pick something up?" Like, I'm just completely oblivious as to what may happen.
Yeah, you start running back the past couple of days and like Usual Suspects, you're like, oh, that's what was happening.
I think I just pieced it together.
Guys are so safe.
Together.
Guys are so safe.
That's hysterical.
Sorry, Lamont.
Yeah,
sorry we were talking about your imminent demise, but that was fun. That was more fun.
That was more fun. I'm going to say that is more fun because we have plenty of time to talk about the next steps they go from here. There's only one day where you can do this, and you know what? That hit. And you know what? I think looking at the card here too. Anniversary serenades. Shenanigans is the last one. I think this file's underneath Shenanigans on the flyer.
Always up for shenanigans.
Oh, man. We're going to take a quick break. I have a couple texts I need to send out. And you know what, Preston, you hungry? We have some popcorn here, too. We have plenty of popcorn.
Sounds good.
We have goodies. We have snacks now, too. We'll go ahead and take a quick break. But when we come back, there is that Valentine's Day game between South Carolina and LSU in Baton Rouge. And we'll break that down a little further. What does South Carolina need to do to be able to pull this win off? We'll discuss next here on a very wild early game, third and long hour.
It's too late for the big game. It's too late for the game on Valentine's Day, but there's still plenty of sports to be watched, and the folks at Integrated Media can help you get set up. Samsung Terrace TVs, waterproof, Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, Wi-Fi that works indoor and outdoor, so you can have all your devices playing all of them at the same time. Your iPad, your laptop, your TV, your everything that you want can be going without any lag time, and the folks from Integrated Media can help you out with it all. From home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat, monitoring your security system from your cell phone, Integrated Media is who you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can reach them online at integratedmediainc.com. That's online at integratedmediainc.com.
All right, got a grass fire now. It's going to be I-20 eastbound at Clemson Road, exit number 80. Look out for that. So slow down. Emergency vehicles also, they are on the scene, as well as some smoke. Be aware of that. Grass fire, once again, Clemson Road, I-20. Weather outlook for today, 59 for your high. Tomorrow, increasing cloudiness, 40% chance of rain, 65. Sunday, 63, 90% chance of those showers. And then next week, beginning Wednesday, we'll really see some nice warm weather in the 70s for your temperatures. This is Captain Nick.
rickrolled. I've never been live rickrolled.
It's put it in the Radio Hall of Fame. I don't know if it's ever happened. It maybe never will again, but it's a moment. It's a moment.
Oh, man. Oh, that is funny.
And if you just tuned in and you're like, what? Yeah, that's all I got for you.
I highly suggest you go to our YouTube page, which, again, we're trying to reach a subscriber goal. Hit subscribe. But if you're watching on the YouTube stream, go to about 2 hours and 8 or 9 minutes, and you'll watch us get live rickrolled.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah,
what a
Amira
voice
definitely.
too.
For those who don't know, Amira is my girlfriend. She was working from home today.
I hope. Or else somebody's making a play. Or else somebody is making a play.
That would be making a play. That would be trick play to win the game on the 1 yard line. She sends me a text. It just reads, "I got you." She was watching on the YouTube stream.
Mm-hmm.
That was very, very well coordinated. I knew something was up when Terry walks into the down here. I'm like, he's not down here this early. And then when Randy started pivoting the camera over, I'm just thinking, because we're in the middle of the segment, and I'm just talking through, and I'm just noticing the camera angle shift.
We're talking about the doldrums of men's basketball right now.
They do play this weekend, by the way. I don't know if we've mentioned that all week. They do actually play. They play at Alabama.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, and if you're interested, that game is at 8:30. So
shout out.
You
Shout
can
out to
pick
them.
the women's game or the men's game. You can, and unless you have YouTube TV, you can dual watch it. But we're breaking that down. We're breaking down the Lamont Paris era, and then all of a sudden, Dave hits the music. Stupid Cupid rolls in, immediately hitting those notes.
It's fire.
Oh, hard to top that. It's going to be hard to top that. But one thing that can maybe competitive basketball game, a top 6 showdown. Thanks,
Top
LSU,
6
for not cracking the top 5 and ruining this for us. But it's the biggest game of the year, and I think after what happened last night with Texas losing on the road to Vanderbilt, really the cushion you have in the SEC has extended a little bit. If you win tomorrow night, you have your stranglehold on winning the SEC regular season title. And as good as the league has been in terms of top heaviness, I think there are more championship contending teams in the SEC this year than we've had in years past. Example, Vanderbilt doing what they did to Texas last night. It would be really impressive if you are able to get a multiple game lead on all the teams that are truly competing with you for this regular season crown in mid-February.
Yeah, and you get a chance to put some space in between you. And again, I talked about it during the 6, but I do think, and I think it's widely recognized that the regular season title is the one that you want to win in the SEC because it hints at the duration, the gauntlet, and all those types of things. So you want to be able to get that. But as I said in the 6, I don't know if I issued a challenge or whatever, but tonight, Latson, this is what you came here for. Mm-hmm. This is what you came here for. You was putting up buckets at Florida State, playing in, so-so gyms against Wake Forest or against whoever, doing your thing, but you wanted to be on a bigger stage. This is the stage that you wanted to be on. And I'm not saying that you have to play outside of your game or do anything differently than what you've been doing, but we brought you here to get buckets, and there is going to be at least 1 or 2 times during this game where you're going to need a bucket to stop a run or start a run or ice the game.
As they're putting it away.
There might be several different opportunities, and this is the time where she needs to show up.
And what's really exciting in this game is also the assignment she's getting on the defensive side of the ball. LSU plays to their guards. Like, their guards are the best players. Michaela Williams, one of their best players. If not the, but Flau'jae Johnson's been there for a while too.
Check her birth certificate. Her and Raven Johnson both got a lot of that going on, right? Like, each fan base is like, still here?
Still here, yeah. So if you want to talk about familiarity between these teams, that's the one thing, like in college basketball, men's and women's, we just don't get enough of is kind of that familiarity between two teams with like the same sets of players. And while LSU and South Carolina both have dipped into the transfer portal, they have kind of transformed what their team looks like, there's still a couple of mainstays that make something like this really intriguing because Raven Johnson was on the floor during the scuffle in Greenville a couple of years ago. Raven Johnson was on the floor when they played at CLA last year. Raven Johnson was on the floor when Bree Hall got that iced three-pointer to win the game in Baton Rouge. in the undefeated season, preserving an undefeated season. Flau'jae Johnson was on the floor for those two. That type of familiarity and that specific matchup, like if we really want to get into maybe a player matchup that might be the most important, the two veteran players for both of these teams that are the most familiar with each other in this series may be the most important players in terms of steadying the ship, handling the emotional roller coaster that this game is going to be, and ultimately prevailing in a game that is a 8:30 or ABC tip-off.
I wonder if there's some type of jersey wager for Camila Cardoza and Angel Reese. Obviously, being teammates.
Oh, there's got to be.
I'm sure there's either a wager, a jersey wager, or something along those lines for this game because it's huge. And the games only get bigger when you're not playing them anymore and you're at the next level. Right? So there are women all across college basketball who will be eyes locked into this game from both sides of this rivalry.
My favorite thing in pro sports is when two teammates who went to college at rival schools do have the jersey bet. I think the one I think about is George Kittle and Brock Purdy for the Niners because Kittle played for Iowa. Brock Purdy played for Iowa State. And I think the last time they did it, Iowa State won. So George Kittle had to wear an Iowa State helmet during a press conference.
Nice.
For the entirety of the press conference.
Nice.
They could work out something like that.
I believe. I would imagine there's something on the line.
Gotta be. Absolutely gotta be. But also, in terms of what makes this game so good, we talked about this a lot during the week, the coaching matchup in this one. To me, it's not just the personalities. It's going to be, A, the personalities, but B, what they do throughout the course of the game. Because I think Dawn's going to run a lot of zone. Against her will. She doesn't like doing it. We played the clip earlier about how she does not choose to run zone. But that zone defense has given them a lot of great results in the last couple of games against Tennessee and Mississippi State. It's clearly something that this specific team understands really well and plays really well, and they have a versatility to run a man defense, run a zone defense, shift up different types of zone defenses. I think if Dawn's able to slow the tempo of the game down because of that zone defense and it works in a similar way that it did against Tennessee or Mississippi State, it's going to be up to Kim Mulkey to find out what that counter punch is going to be. And then we don't only get into just the great personalities and the iconic nature of both these coaches, we get to see what they're made of on the whiteboard too.
The strategic, yeah. That's the thing because yes, they wear the cool clothes. Yes, they're demonstrative on the sidelines. All that's great. But underneath all of that, or the base of all that, is they're two excellent basketball coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to be able to see. And I think when you look at it, I'm interested to see basketball's a game of runs. We get that. Who's going to get the first one? I wouldn't be nervous if either one of these teams, I wouldn't be, as a Gamecock fan, I wouldn't be nervous if we got down by 10. I wouldn't be confident if we got up by 10 at any point during this game until it's over. And that's why I want to see what adjustments are made throughout the various runs that happen in this game.
What is it you always say? Every game in sports is played to a score.
It's going to be played to a score at some point. And I don't think there's that much value in, if they get up or if we even get up by 10 or 12 early in the game or whatever the case is, just because these teams are good. They're going to play to a score. And they'll play to the eventuality of whatever ends up happening.
Because we've seen some extreme spurtability from both of these teams.
Right.
With LSU, you've seen it to where they can go on a 15-0 run like that.
And
we saw it with South Carolina, the Tennessee game this past Sunday.
And that's the one where, because of the environment, because everybody being excited, it could happen very quickly. And that's where Raven would need to come in, settle everybody down, maybe get the ball to tonight, get a bucket, stop a run, and then continue on with the game. It's just you just don't want the thing to snowball. And then stuff starts happening.
That's one of the best parts about a game like this. There's so many different angles to cover, and my man Jared Parker from Watch Fox is going to join us next to get his thoughts on this game, how he thinks it's going to go down, and what's the most important thing that South Carolina needs to do to be able to beat LSU again. That's next here on the early game. Down this weekend in the world of sports, but if you want to get into some competition yourself, I highly suggest signing up for Pro Swing's 2026 Spring League. And I tell you all the time about how much I enjoy Pro Swing's Golf Zone simulators, where you can play on over 300 plus courses from anywhere in the world, including my favorite golf course to watch any type of golf event at, which is St. Andrews. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing course. You can play there over at Pro Swing. But with the Spring League, you can take that play and take it to the next level. From March 9th to June 7th, they'll have their annual Spring League. It's 10 regular season weeks with 2 playoff weeks, and you can do it in either location, Chapin or Forest Acres location, whichever one's more convenient to you. It's $40 per round, and there's 1 round per week. But if you're a member at Pro Swing, here's one of the perks. It's $25 per round for members. So don't wait, because again, it starts March 9th. Spots are filling up. Sign up for the 2026 Pro Swing Spring League today on ProSwingColumbia.com.
All right, we have a problem south Beltline near Rosewood Drive at Covenant Road with an accident there. Gibson Road near South Church Drive at Hendrick Street in Lexington. Also Augusta Road near Oak Drive and St. David's Church Road, an accident there. And it looks like we've cleared up with that fire earlier, 20 eastbound at Clemson Road. Weather outlook for today, a little bit cooler and 59 for a high. Increasing cloudiness for tomorrow and Sunday. Big chance of rain on Sunday, 90% chance of extreme rain. This is Captain Dave.
We had one unexpected visitor for the show today, but here's a planned visitor. My man Jared Parker from Watch Fox. Been covering this team all year long. He is locked in on what will be going down in Baton Rouge on Saturday night. Jared, hope you're having a fantastic Friday. Good to have you on, my man.
What's up, Elijah, my man? And I told you I made those Cracker Barrel copycat strawberry pancakes this morning to get me ready for the show. They came out great.
See, Jared and I did go down a little bit of a Cracker Barrel rabbit hole because when I was texting him to ask him to come on, he goes, do I have to come in? I'm like, no, you can just do it over the phone. He goes, great, I can make pancakes. And then, of course, the obvious follow-up is, what kind of pancakes? And he has copycatted that pancake recipe from Cracker Barrel. Again, run the play.
Send it on. Send it on, brother. I need that one.
I got you. It's beautiful. Came out great.
And hopefully for this South Carolina basketball team, things come out great, like those pancakes tomorrow night at LSU. My first question for you, Jared, though, is when you watch this LSU team, we've been obviously very familiar with them. This is the game that's almost always the most circled game on the calendar every single year. This year it is for a little bit of a different reason. But when you watch them play this year, what's maybe a big difference between this year's bunch and some of the teams that we've had some of these epic battles with over the last few years?
Well, I think when we think about the LSU teams of recent years, they've always had kind of a three-headed dragon at the front, with Flage always being a part of that. But, depending on the year, it might be Angel Reese or Anissa Morrow part of that three-headed dragon. And they have the same thing this year, but what's really, I feel like, kind of slept on with this team is the array of underclassmen they have, whether it's Jada Richard, Grace Knox, Zakiya Johnson, Kate Koval, a couple of freshmen and sophomores that I feel like are so slept on because of the allure of that three-headed dragon that gets so much popularity. And that's a group that I feel like if you sleep on, they can really, really hurt you, especially their post play hasn't been, praised as much as I think it should be in recent times. That was a big factor of their win over Texas earlier this season, was great post play, great rebounding. So I think the rebounding is something similar. LSU has always rebounded well. But it's kind of the underclassmen that I feel like aren't getting as much love as everyone else is something a little bit different.
And then we watch Mylasia Fulwiley on LSU too. We know what she did here and what her role was here. Still coming off the bench, I think her minute uptick is only by a couple of minutes. So it's maybe a similar role as she had here at South Carolina. But how do you think she fits in with what LSU wants to do?
That's a tough one because I think they're still trying to figure it out, it feels like, with her coming off the bench. I know a lot of at least the social media argument has been that, she's been there to learn and develop her guard play. I don't know that we're seeing that so much, that she's becoming more of a true point guard. I think she's as talented as ever, but it's weird. She's still, I feel like, kind of that same player she was at South Carolina last year, where she's a spark plug off the bench. She can get buckets anywhere. But her fit as far as the system goes is kind of hard to describe because she is such a wild card, and I'm sure you'd see the same, as you watch her. So watching her with this LSU squad, I think, she'll come off the bench again, be a spark plug in Saturday's game. Tomorrow is Saturday. But, yeah, I don't know how much fit is so much a mesh with LSU more than it is she's just going to do that wherever she's at.
Jared Parker from Watch Fox is on with us right now. And Jared, Preston and I have talked a lot today about South Carolina's zone defense and really the difference it's kind of made in the last two games against Tennessee and Mississippi State. And we played a clip from Don earlier talking about how it's really come along despite her not loving running zone defenses. But how much of an impact do you think that's going to have in this game, and how big of a factor is it when it comes to them trying to slow down a team that is top 10 in the country in tempo?
I think it's huge because one thing we've seen, it's not unique to the South Carolina zone. A lot of times in college, zone forces your opponents to take some really, really bad shots. And in the pair of 43-point wins recently, we saw Mississippi State and Tennessee settling for some bad shots. And I think, when you look at LSU's history, Flage has shown a propensity to go cold at times. Obviously, with Malaysia's style of play, she can score in bunches, but that means shooting in bunches. And sometimes when you're shooting in bunches, something like a zone can stifle you and force you into those bad shots. So I think what it can do against LSU is the same thing it's done in the past, is force them into bad shots. And once you force the bad shots and you get behind, now you're forcing more bad shots, trying to catch up and score more threes when you may not have it. So I think it's been an interesting thing to see a Dawn Staley team play zone and play more and more zone as the season goes, because this is not something she does really, but I think they're going to use it a lot against LSU, especially because they have those three guards that can score at will.
Now, Jared, I know basketball is a very simple, complex game. That makes no sense.
Yes.
It's not supposed to. But if we want to simplify the complex game, the most important thing that South Carolina needs to do to be able to win this game tomorrow is?
Raven Johnson. Just follow Raven Johnson. I think in a team that has seen so much change with injuries this year, transfers coming in, that starting lineup has kind of just been a rotating door. The one solid all season has been Raven Johnson. Joyce Edwards as well. She's been a great scorer, but I think when it comes to leadership, a tempo perspective, it's been really easy, I'd assume, for them to get behind Raven Johnson. And as long as Raven is on the court, as long as she's keeping them steady, I think they'll win.
Good stuff. Jared Parker from Watch Fox. Now, Jared, last thing here. Preston and I were talking earlier. We were talking about if Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso have maybe some side bet to wear the other team's jersey, depending on who wins this game. I'm looking at a schedule right now. Middle Tennessee State and Florida International. For those who don't know, Jared is an FIU grad. Right? We are the lone Conference USA representatives in this media market. They play on March 5th, and it's going to be at FIU. I think we have to have something in order. I have plenty of MTSU stuff that you can rock. If you have any FIU gear, I think we can make something happen.
I do have some FIU gear, and I will take you up on that bet.
Okay, good. Circle it. Thursday, March 5th. MTSU.
And a post to Twitter.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It has to be. Yeah, or else.
Yes.
If it didn't happen.
Yeah, if you don't post it didn't happen.
Okay.
Good stuff. Jared, appreciate your time as always, my man. Looking forward to seeing you around here really soon.
All right, thanks. Love talking to you guys.
Appreciate it, Jared.
Jared is the man. Jared is a winner, and we'll give you our winners for today's show, which had a plethora of different things to talk about. We'll give you our winners, brought to you by the Golden Spur, coming up next to round out the early game. Singletary. We have winners for you, my friend. And you could be a winner because we have a pair of tickets to give away. Today is opening day, and opening day is always going to be a winner here. Brought to you by the Golden Spur, because hope springs eternal. Every opening day in baseball, it feels like. Maybe the most majestic opening day of any sport. If you want to go to the first game against Northern Kentucky today at 1 o'clock, just call 803-404-6100. Be the first person to call. And if you hear Captain David Ayer's voice, just know that you too are a winner, just like the winners that we hand out in this segment every day. Free tickets would be a good thing. Be a plus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another winner for today's show. If you missed it at the very beginning of this hour, Stupid Cupid, big winner. Stupid Cupid Services. Now, I've got a QR code on here. I don't think it has like a number or anything, but you've got you get a fun message in there. Cupid comes by and sings a song of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Rickrolled.
We got live Rickrolled.
In the year of our Lord 2026, we got live Rickrolled.
And I don't think we can go without mentioning that Rick Astley, winner. Because though it was made into the earliest internet phenomenon, in isolation, song is still a banger.
Still a great song.
It's a great song.
Fantastic tune.
Ginger Cuz also.
Marshawn Lynch would consider Rick Astley and Sam Darnold birds of a feather.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with, his name was mentioned earlier, and I went on Nerd Alert, CeeLo Green. One of my favorite rappers, singers, artists, everything above. He did it in a group with Goody Mob. He did it solo as CeeLo Green is the Soul Machine. He did it in another two-man duo as Gnarls Barkley. He's done it across the spectrum, sing, rap, does whatever you want to do. One of the best to do it. CeeLo Green, winner.
I'm telling you. In that was the summer of 2006, I think, was when Crazy came out. Had that on repeat.
Also wrote, if you remember, Don't You by the Pussycat Dolls.
Oh, I didn't know he wrote that.
He wrote that. So he's a writer. CeeLo Green, winner.
One of the more all-around, most talented human beings.
Correct.
On planet Earth. Another winner for today's show. If you listen to the morning meeting, run the play.
Yes.
For Valentine's Day.
Quick PSA, run the play. You know your partner. You know what your partner likes. You know what your partner dislikes. You know what y'all like to do as a couple. More Valentine's Days are lost than won. You win the rest of the year. Don't lose on Valentine's Day.
That's right. Again, a lot of them were lost than won. Just keep it simple.
Run the play.
But also, KYP, know your personnel.
There you go.
If they don't like that, or if you don't know they don't like that, don't run the risk.
Not today. Later on. Plenty of year for that.
Experimentation can happen later on.
It should happen.
Yes, it absolutely should. You need to learn more about your partner as time moves on and get a full understanding. That way, when you get to more Valentine's Days, KYP is a little easier of a strategy to implement because you know everything you need to know about that person.
There you go. Run the play. Whatever it is, you know your partner better than anybody else. Run it.
Another winner for today's show, mystery. Because it is opening day in baseball. And now if you are out and about and you need a place to hang out before the game, if you're going to it, over at Village Idiot, Tyler and Bill are going to be breaking it down, doing a show leading up to opening day. It's an opening day special. But the mystery comes from one player in particular. That's Riley Goodman. We played the clip earlier of Paul Mainieri raving about Riley's progress. He redshirted last year, so we didn't get to see him in action. And Paul believes that he's got Friday starter stuff. He just doesn't have the experience. Well, unfortunately, experimentation and growth in time is not a luxury that this program has, given what happened last year. I think today is a very interesting test to watch Riley Goodman on the mound and see if that's a guy that we can see regularly in that weekend rotation once we do get to SEC play or once we do get to the Clemson series or even some of the other measuring stick games in the non-conference schedule. And there's not a ton of them, so there's not a ton of opportunities to find that out before the time you get to SEC play. The mystery behind Riley Goodman is a big winner for me.
Winners, service industry veterans. Big weekend if you're in the service industry. My heart goes out to you. No pun intended, but it's a big weekend. I know you're going to do your best. But, yeah, anybody in the service industry, this is a big weekend for you. Take care of business. And if you receive good service, tip well, take care of them folks.
Yes, absolutely, because they are going to be miserable for the next 48 hours.
Tough weekend for the service industry folks.
Was never cut out for it. I was a server for a little bit. Way too scatterbrained.
It's tough.
Was not easy. Let's just say me and the Cheddars in Cookville mutually agreed to part ways. But not like in a Mike Tomlin way.
We're going to go in a different direction?
Yeah. Maybe this isn't for you, buddy. Not my best, right? My siblings, great at it. Absolutely great at it. Not me. Was not my thing. Another winner for today's show, style. Because I do believe, I'm calling my shot right now. Kim Mulkey's wearing pink feathers. Valentine's Day.
Take a futures on it. I definitely think that's a great prediction. Now, on the other side of the style is, which designer are we going? Gucci. I mean, Dawn typically does Gucci in big games. She had on a Gucci crew neck that was burgundy. I believe it was maybe it might have been for this game last year. That was phenomenal. And so I am very interested in seeing how that plays out.
Another winner for today's show, Peter Pan. Because you know what? Sometimes the best strategy is never growing up, and Trinidad Chambliss is going back to school. Avoiding the professional workforce for another year.
I guess.
He's Peter Pan. You know, I have the U-Haul All-Americans. For, like, the older players, I need to have a Peter Pan All-American. Or Van Wilder is probably more appropriate.
Van Wilder, yeah. That's definitely that definitely hits a different level right there.
College football is now basically turned into Neverland. From Peter Pan, not other.
We didn't even get into the story about my guy from Montana State.
Oh, we didn't, yeah.
Getting his
9th year of eligibility. 9th. I understand there were some injuries that maybe caused him to need this, and I get that. I am very sympathetic to the injury aspect of it. I think it is very unfortunate when something like that happens.
Tough break.
It's a tough break. But if you've had 3 or 4, I mean, we can only give out so many of these things. You know, we can only give out so many years of eligibility. And I think for our guy at Montana, and I will say, the way the show has kind of gone down this week, we've had it planned to talk about, but we haven't been able to get to it because things have kind of bled over, and we have to adapt a little bit. I am kind of glad, though, because I cannot pronounce that man's last name.
Oh, yeah, that was going to be a tough one.
That was going to be a real stress test of my phonetic understanding of the English language.
It was going to be a tough. That one was, yes, I did see that name, and I don't think we'll be running into Montana State anytime during the next football season. So I think we should be clear on that one.
No, but if you cover the FCS for a living, they are the cream of the crop in that subsect of football. Got to get familiar with it, learn it, love it, live it. Tyler Head and Bill Gunner, they're chilling over at Village Idiot on Whaley Street. They're coming up next because we have an entire day of previewing the season, starting with them all the way up until 1 o'clock when opening day officially hits. They're winners. They're next.
Run the play.